I'm John Banther, and this is Classical Breakdown. From WETA Classical in Washington, we take you behind the music, and in this episode, I'm joined by renowned guitarist Xuefei Yang. Recognized as one of the guitarists today, Xuefei has performed all over the world in recitals and with leading orchestras. She has many recordings and commissions, and she was the first person in China to study classical guitar in conservatory. She tells us all about her new album, Chapeu Satie, which is filled with the music of Erik Satie. We talk about the advantages guitar has over piano, how a particular idea in Chinese music connects with Satie, and how she adapts music for the guitar. Plus, she performs a work from the album just for us at the end. Welcome, Xuefei Yang. Thank you so much for coming in. You are out of London. You are in the middle of a 15-city tour here in the United States, and you're also celebrating the release of your album, Chapeu Satie. Thank you so much for taking the time to come in.
Hello, John. Yes, this is my pleasure to be here and talking to you and share thoughts and music with audience here.
So I think you're about halfway through your tour. How has it been so far for you in the United States?
It's been great. I've been playing in the U.S. every year, but this is my very first coast-to-coast tour. So 15 concerts. I've done 5 so far.
Okay, 5. So you got a little bit to go.
Yes, I have 10 to go.
So we're happy to have you here to celebrate your album, Chapeu Satie. In fact, you've recorded over a dozen now, and several have had a specific focus with titles like The Bach Concertos, Colors of Brazil, Sketches of China, and so on. So my question is, why this time? Why did you choose Erik Satie?
Oh, well, this year marks the centenary of Erik Satie's death, so I thought this is a good opportunity to celebrate his legacy. But also, more importantly, I think his music is very suited to be played on guitar, because Erik Satie's music, as people know about, very simple and minimalist. And so if you look his famous gymnopédies and nocturnes, they're very slow, simple, minimalist, not many notes, which translate beautifully on the guitar because that gives the instrument ample space to do a lot of nuances and colors, the characters of the strings, which is hard to do on the keyboard, on piano. So I think they really suited to be played on guitar.
And it's interesting that Satie didn't really write for the guitar, right? Because all the music here are either transcriptions or arrangements that you've made or someone else has. I don't think he really wrote for guitar. Yet
No.
It works so well.
Yes, that's really fascinating. He didn't write to guitar, but not every piece he wrote is suited to be played on guitar. But this piece, when I do transcriptions, I choose the pieces very carefully. I think that's the first step. You have to choose the right pieces to work on your instrument. Let's say, I'm a big fan of Beethoven, but his symphony or his piano sonatas, I want to transcribe those on guitar. So you have to know the limitation of your instrument, and that you have to know what could work on your instrument. I think that's very important.
That's interesting. So not even the first Beethoven sonata, the one with a little no, that's a good point. You have to choose this carefully.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, how does Satie compare to preparing works by someone like J.S. Bach, who, it's mostly transcriptions, and people like Joaquin Turina and Enrique Granados, who wrote for the guitar?
Yes, it's a good question. I find that Spanish composers usually, like Granados or Albéniz, or even Falla. So because these composers, they're in the Spanish school, so that means that they always take some influence from the Spanish music, Spanish folkloric music, say flamenco music. There's always element of that in their works. And the flamenco music, you cannot talk about flamenco music without guitar. So in a way, there's always some kind of sound of guitar in their work. I think that's maybe why when you talk about Spanish composers such as Albéniz, Granados, models, their work translates beautifully on guitar. So Bach is another sample. I think Bach, in his own time, himself, he transcribed his own works to different instruments.
Yes.
He even that our lute suite is there's one. It's the same as the violin partita, and then there's one lute suite is the same as the Bach, as the cello, the cello suite. And then he transcribed his other works for different instruments. So, and he transcribed other composers' works. So I think I would like to imagine Bach was a very open-minded musician.
I think so too.
I would imagine he would be very happy to hear his works to be transcribed on guitar. And I think one of the characters of guitar is polyphonic instrument.
It plays multiple notes at once.
Yeah, you can do multiple voices. And Bach is such a master in terms of doing multiple voices, fugue, So I think his works particularly worked well on guitar. I mean, look, lute is our close relative, and he did write quite a few works for lute. So, so guitar is the close relative to lute. So we play the lute works, and then we can play some other works. I transcribed the violin concertos, some harpsichord pieces. I think they worked really well on the guitar.
What are some of the differences when you're transcribing something for the guitar from someone like Bach compared to Satie? Because you've said, well, with Satie, there's so few notes,
Yes.
and that you can really either play with rhythm or resonance, compared to Bach, who might just be a string of 16th notes for a whole page.
That's really true. It's the opposite. I mean, when I transcribed the harpsichord pieces, there are too many notes. But that's why in my Bach concerto disc, I chose to, I did one of his harpsichord concerto with a string quartet, because I thought that it would be a shame to lose any voices or important notes, which gives the lines. I don't want to lose the line. I don't want to lose the harmony. But to have the string quartet replace the orchestra, so I don't lose anything.
Yeah.
So I have the bass that is all there, and the harmony this is all complete. But to have a string quartet instead of orchestra, so the volume could be smaller because the guitar's volume is not that big.
Right.
And so basically one player plays one voice, so it's kind of more clearer. You hear each line played by one instrument. So that's the idea in the Bach CD. Well, it's Satie. I mean, the pieces I chose in my Chapeu Satie album, they're all on the not many notes side,
Yeah.
which means there's not much to lose. And also in the end of the day, it's not that when I'm getting older, I realized that when you're transcribing, it's evoking is more important. So you don't have to play note by note precisely, but it's the feeling. You get the feeling, you get the spirit. That's more important. And also, I find that it's very importantly, you have to add something on your instrument. I don't want people to listen to my transcription and then to compare to the original instrument, think that I'm trying to imitate the piano, or when I play Chinese music, I'm trying to imitate a Chinese instrument. I mean, there is an element of it, but I want the piece sounds like a guitar piece. So that's that. I wanted to add something that is characterful, something from my instrument, add something, but not just imitate. And then you just compare to the original form and you think, not quite the same. I think that's not successful. But so far, I've heard many people, even my producer of the album and some other journalists and some other radio people, they say that the recording in my Satie album, it sounded like those pieces sounded like they were written for guitar. I thought that is something like I really like. I like the comment. I want them to sound like guitar pieces.
Well, maybe we can go to that now, because that's exactly the impression I got. It sounded like there's way more to Satie here than what I normally hear. So I guess there's that part we'll get to. But first, did you do anything else in preparing for Satie's music in terms of either reading something about his life or unmusical things?
Yes, as you know, that Satie is known as a quirky and eccentric person.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought a book. It's his love letters, and I read about he never married, and he had one girlfriend, Susanna, and then she's an artist, but the relationship only lasted a very short while. Anyway, so I read his love letters, and I play his music. I would like to imagine this guy maybe underneath this cold and eccentric appearance. He must have some tender heart and have some romantic emotions. Because, I also recorded some of his songs, the early songs. They're really beautiful. And then the lyrics was written by his friend, Latour, I think. So the lyric is really beautiful. And then the music really evokes what the lyric is about, talking about love, beauty, angels' tears. And then there are lots of tenderness in that. So I would like to think that Satie had this romantic and tender heart. Oh, by the way, and also in talking about why I'm doing the Satie album, I thought that at the beginning I was thinking about just to do his Nocturnes and the Gymnopédies. This is his most famous works for piano. But when I dig into his music more, I found out that actually he also wrote a number of cabaret songs. And he lived in Montmartre most of his life, and there are lots of music halls, cafes. And
Big artistic part of Paris.
Yes, that's right. The vibrant Bohemian center for experimental music, arts. And so he worked with the stars of the day, and he wrote some songs for the stars of the day. Say, what's the name? Paulette Darcy? I think, maybe I have to check if the name is right. Anyway, so people say that Satie was ahead of his time, composed these minimalist works, kind of avant-garde. But actually, he's also very much a man of his own time.
Yes.
He wrote these cabaret songs, and a number of the songs got quite popular in his time. So when I look at these songs, I thought, because they meant to be performed in the small cafes, music halls, and to use the guitar replace piano. Again, I think they're quite short and charming, and some of them are really cheeky and humorous. To use guitar, I think is adding the characters. And the guitar is historically, traditionally, a natural accompanying instrument for singers.
Yes.
So I think these short songs, again, I think to use the guitar to accompany vocals, I thought that works really well.
I love that you were looking to his letters. That is a great way to learn about composers. Google their name and then letters. Some people have really categorized, whatever it is. They've cataloged everything, done translations. And so, you see this romantic side of Satie, and also the guitar. That could be a pretty romantic instrument, too.
Yes, definitely. And it's very intimate. For example, I really love this Trois Melodies. So 3 melodies is one of his early song cycle. They're really simple, but it's really beautiful. And then talking about angel's tears, talking about the girls even more beautiful than angel. So using the guitar, I can really add the intimacy, the tenderness. Say one of the songs we did is called Je te veux, means I want you. So you can tell from the title it's a very sensual song. And I used the guitar to replace the piano. I feel that really I can contribute I think Satie didn't like the word romantic, but
It's what we have.
The guitar contributes to that sensual, intimate feeling.
And I love that you include the Je te veux. That's towards the end of the album. It really feels like you're wrapping things up also as well.
That's the idea, actually, because basically the album showcases the two contrasting faces of Satie. So the art side, the Nocturnes, Gymnopédies, and then the cabaret side. The cabaret side of Satie, in the past, they were dismissed a little bit. They were considered a bit lighter.
Yeah.
But then recent times, the commentators think that that's important part of Satie's work. So they're equally important as his art side. So I agree that made what Satie was. So
Let's look towards the beginning of the album and a little bit of something you said before, which was people have said it sounds like these were written for guitar. So you include several of the nociens, and the first one, which opens the album, is of course beautiful. And the important thing here is that there are no bar lines.
Yeah.
There's no there's a lot missing. You have a time, you have no time signature.
No.
You have no bar lines or anything. So I guess I have a couple of questions. Well, one, it sounds like you are managing a lot on the guitar that I don't hear the same way from others. There's so much more in terms of articulation, rhythm, tone, and dynamics, which is why it sounds like this could only be for guitar. So I guess there's that aspect of it. And also, how do you put something together in your own way that has no guidance? It's like reading a novel with no periods or spaces.
Actually, this really worked for me. I feel really naturally about this way of composing. In a way, it really echoes with Chinese aesthetics. The Chinese art is Chinese music also focus on spirit, evocation, evoke some feelings. Yeah, so in a way, I feel this type of free writing echoes with the Chinese aesthetic, and it gives you lots of space to imagine, leave the space. We call it, leave space and for imagination. So that, for me, that is very natural. But Satie did give some hint, obscure ones, like edge on the thought, deep on the tongue, and these kind of descriptions seems obscure, but I think they do make sense. They make you to think, and then they evokes your imagination. So these are the the only hint. But then the rest it leaves to the players, which is great. So I have my freedom to interpret. And also, as I mentioned, because there are not many notes. So again, I find that when there's not many notes, I actually have more freedom to explore what I can do. And again, this is echoes with the similar ways on the Chinese instrument list. I mean, I don't play any Chinese instrument, but I have done lots of transcriptions. I have transcribed many pieces from the Chinese instrumental music. So the same, they don't have many notes, but they have many ways of treating a simple note. So here in these nociens, I feel that, I could use the same thinking. Right, so there's not many notes, but on the guitar, on the piano, you just key down one note, and then maybe you can... There's limited ways of treating one note. On the guitar, I could do vibrato. I could pull the string. I could use my right hand. I got nails. With more nails, less nails, changing the positions. There's many ways. There are many ways that I could create some different nuances. So that's what I mean. That this piece is seemingly not many notes, but it gives me many ways to treat them.
I love that you use the word evoke several times, because that is the word I would use for the album. It's evoking something. Just the first one, it sounds like you are in a whole world I've never heard before in this piece. And it's like if curiosity was a sound, this would be it as well.
Great. Thank you.
So when it comes to playing some of these, I imagine when you have fewer notes and, the lack of direction sometimes, the decisions you make become even more important, or they have a greater effect on the music than usual. Did you have any idea of doing anything different with this music that is not quite traditional, or it was really just, I'm going to dive into this and evoke what I feel needs to be evoked?
Actually, I guess there's something different I did in the Gymnopédies. At first, I thought that maybe I'll play them solo. But when I look at the piano scores, it's very slow. I thought it's a pity, even on the piano, that, a piano, same as guitar, we cannot really shape one note.
Because you can't sustain.
No, yeah. And I think piano has even have better sustain, but the shape-wise, nothing we could do once you plug the note. So that's why I brought in a flautist, Sharon Basley. I thought that I imagined that slow, long line would be played beautifully on the flute. And then I used the 7-string guitars to play the left hand of the piano. So that way I can be really faithful to his harmonies. Nothing missed. The bass, the harmony is the same. So basically it's the flute and the guitars. We use these two instruments, this combination to reinterpret the gymnopedies. I thought it works really beautifully.
It is beautiful. And so the 7-string guitar, so you have an extra lower string?
Yes.
Like a B or a...
Depends on the piece.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the advantage. The 7-string, you can tune it to whatever you want. I mean, not whatever you want. It can't be too low because I tried. When it's too low, then it stopped responding. So just the 3 gymnopedies, I use the 7 strings. The other pieces, I use the normal guitar.
Okay.
And also, if I do play these gymnopedies in the concert, I can still play the 6 strings. It's very adaptive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another great thing about the guitar is how flexible it is.
Yes, I think that's one of the most charming thing about guitar because you can take it to anywhere you go. I mean, the piano can play anything, but you cannot take it with you to anywhere. So it's very limited. To be honest, I take my guitar even on holidays. I take my guitar to beach, although it's not as romantic as you might think because there was mosquitoes. So I play 5 minutes and I go.
And I imagine you take you have a specific guitar you take somewhere if you're going to the beach or if it might rain that day. You don't take your nice...
You do? No, I didn't take my... This one is my small one, is my main instrument. So that's for my concert. So for holiday, I took cheaper guitar.
Yeah, of course. So you talked a little bit about how with some of these, you are able to get these sounds out of the guitar by using more of a nail, less of a nail, how you use your hands. How does that change when you're then playing the role of like a collaborative pianist who would accompany a flute or these songs, the Trois Melodies that you included? What change, mindset or otherwise, do you have when you're moving to that style of playing?
You mean compared to when I play solo or compared to a pianist?
Compared to when you're playing solo playing with the singer.
Singer, all right.
What are you doing differently in that?
Oh, very different. Actually, playing with singer, in a way, it's a bit easier because there's lyrics. So, when you play solo, especially when, in the no séance, there's no bar line, there's no dynamics, no signature, just an obscure hint. So you use your imagination. But when you're doing songs, the best thing is that there's lyrics. You know what the song is about. So for me, the most important thing is to understand the lyrics. So I don't speak French, but I put down English under every word. And I think it's very important. So when the singer is singing, say, tears, so I don't want to strum my string too loudly. One is thinking about, for example, this song La Diva de l'Empire. It's got some cheekiness in it. So when you know what the word is about, I wanted to support that what she's trying to sing and what she's trying to tell. So basically, I think songs, they're more storytelling, and so my role is to support that. And of course, and then I support the singers. So it's more like a teamwork in a way. So I'm a kind of I have to be green leaves. The flower has to be singers. That's just has to be that way. But that's all right, because I'm a part of the music. But I think when doing a song, it's more like more storytelling. So you have to understand what story you're telling, and you try to support it. I think that's the main difference.
That's beautiful. Knowing the words to help you then, of course, evoke what the sentiment of whatever it is, whether you're playing solo or with voice, you're always, it seems, aiming to be very, very specific and clear about your intentions and what you're evoking, whether that's playing a little bit lighter just because this one word, which the audience won't even understand because they don't speak French, there is still something there. Yes,
that's a bit pity. I guess if in a concert, the audience might not know. But usually they do put the lyrics in the program. So I wish the audience could read it so they know. For example, that I talk about is Angel's Tears, talking about angels. So I use a kind of arpeggios, so that sounds a bit like a harp to give that kind of fairy-like sound. I think on piano, I don't know why pianists, at least on many versions, they just play the chord. I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but I felt that piano tend lean to sound a bit cold, and guitar sound a bit warmer.
Well, I will tell you one thing. So the solo pieces that you play, it sounds like Satie wrote them for guitar. Also for the songs, it sounds like it's for guitar. And it reminds me of Franz Schubert. I think it was last year, for the first time I heard Schubert's Die Schöne Müllerin on guitar and voice.
Oh, yes.
I'm never going to hear it with piano again.
Oh, really?
It's the guitar, it is, especially with that song cycle, it just works. And I think maybe pianists should be a little nervous about guitarists because like you said, it's a natural instrument to accompany voice. And I think it's just more evocative.
Yes. And also in Schubert's time, I guess, there's in the Viennese salons and the guitar to accompany singers is kind of quite a common thing. Mm-hmm. So Schubert is another. I've played the Schubert. I've recorded that with cellist Johannes Moser. That's my album last year. So we did the Arpeggione Sonata for Arpeggione and was supposed to be keyboard. But again, I felt that it works really, really well on the guitar. So kind of instrument between Arpeggione and cello, and to give that nuances and the tenderness. And Schubert's music, it just has so many details, which I can focus on the guitar.
Well, we're going to put that somewhere, because I've not heard that. An Arpeggione Sonata played with you as the pianist on guitar.
Yes.
That has got to be interesting.
I love that piece. Just a great work like that. Even just practice my own part without the cello part. I just enjoy it. I still just enjoy it so much.
So you've mentioned Chinese instruments, traditional ones, a little bit, and you grew up in China, and I read that your father played a traditional instrument, suona. Maybe that's not the right pronunciation. What is it?
My dad played sheng, like a wind instrument.
Yes, and you also naturally heard the pipa growing up, which is a stringed instrument. But this was also a time, from what I understand, where the classical guitar, it did not have that same respect as these traditional instruments when you were growing up.
No, not at all.
So, how did you get a guitar in that case? And what were your early experiences playing it in a place where it just doesn't have that same value?
So basically, when I was 7, I was a very energetic child, and my parents were teachers, so they wanted me to learn an instrument, and then they thought that would help me to be more concentrated on my academic studies.
You were running around just playing all day.
Yes, kind of. So, but they were thinking about accordion, because accordion was the most popular instrument of those days, funnily, because there were lots of choirs that used accordion as the cheap replacement of keyboard. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so they asked the music teacher in my school to teach me accordion. But the music teacher said that accordion was too heavy for 7 years old and quite loud. She loved guitar, and she was organizing a guitar group. Mm-hmm. So they just put me in a guitar group. But at that time, I've never heard of guitar. I didn't even know what a guitar was because it's a foreign name. So I remember I kept asking my parents, what is that instrument? So my dad went to the shop and bought a little one, like $3, like a toy. So I opened the box. I thought, oh, that's a nice toy. And I plugged in the string. I thought, oh, sounds nice. So that's my encounter, really. But then the guitar group, now looking back, we play, I think my teacher didn't even know there's a difference between classical guitar or acoustic guitar or all these styles. We just play everything. Yeah. We play a bit classical pieces. We played and sing some American folk songs. So it's like a bit of everything. Mm-hmm. So that's the beginning. But you are right, guitar wasn't respected at that time because I remembered, because my parents were teachers. So I remember my mom's colleagues, some colleagues asked her, oh, why you let Xuefei play guitar? It's like not a very nice instrument. Yeah. It's like a bit hippie, like, anyway, not a very nice image. So when I remember my parents spent like years saving, bought me a proper guitar, and then my mom couldn't tell her father because my grandpa wouldn't understand why you spend so much money buy a guitar. It's like not not a proper instrument.
Right.
So anyway, so there was lots of misunderstandanding. But because I think there's a number of reasons, because it's just a few years after the Cultural Revolution, and during the Cultural Revolution, all Western music were banned. So that was like still in the reviving period. But also, I think piano or violin, these kind of traditional classical instruments, they revived quickly because there was already tradition in China. But guitar was linked to pop music. And then that linked to, I remember linked to this kind of image like Beatles, long hair, jeans, and then this is like linked to, what do you call that, capitalism. So it's, we were very much communist back then, so this is like not a very nice image, but this is back then. So yeah, so number of reasons. But now it's very different. But still, I think just now I was in a taxi, then the driver asked me, oh, are you a singer? I always expect that, you carry a guitar, people think you're a singer.
Yeah, you're definitely going to get that a lot.
Yeah.
Now, you also then went on to become the first guitarist in China to go to a formal music conservatory, which I don't know if you know, Fei, but there's like 1 billion people in China. And I'm talking to the one that actually was the first one. That feels like, that's some serious business. What was that like, being the first person to do this?
Well, to be honest, now we're talking about it, it sounds like, wow, it sounds like something special and you made the history. But at that time, I didn't feel that way.
You just walked in the door and was like, well, I'm in school now.
It's very difficult, actually. It's a very long story. I just cut it very short. So basically, my parents just wanted me to play the guitar as a hobby.
Yeah.
But when I played at the festival, I met lots of guitarists from abroad and lots of people saying I have the talent, I could be professional guitarist. So I wanted to be guitarist without knowing what it means. And then so my teacher told me that the only way to become a musician is to enter a conservatoire. In China, that's pretty much the situation. But there's no conservatoire had a guitar faculty. So that's the difficulty. And then I had this opportunity to enter the middle school attached to Central Conservatoire of Music. That's the best conservatoire in China. But as an unofficial student, which means I probably would graduate without a diploma, and then my parents had to pay a huge fee because it's not official.
Yeah.
So my parents were very much against this choice. But I was probably I wanted to do music, and probably part of me is quite a rebellion child. So anyway, so after all of this struggle, so I entered. So when I entered the school, at first I was very happy. I thought, I would be in the music school and I'll be so good in the ocean of music and learn every day. I'll be so good. But soon I was hit by the reality. I felt very lonely because I was the first one, and the first year I was the only one. And my classmates, they play violin, piano, or Chinese instruments, and then they go to orchestra, they go to ensemble, and then from the teachers to the students, they didn't know about my instrument.
Yeah.
And then some of them look down my instrument. They will say, what do you study? I said, guitar. They said, guitar? Second instrument?
Oh.
So anyway, so I felt lonely and I felt frustrated about this judgment.
Yeah, the prejudice.
Prejudice, yeah, that's the word. So, but in a way, I think maybe that made me to be more strong and to have more willpower. So I wanted to do well. I wanted to show them that my instrument is so beautiful and so capable. And yes, it's a concert hall instrument. So it gave me more willpower to do well, to show them.
I mean, it's incredible that you did it and you stuck through it, because there's many people, as we all know, that don't go past your first year in conservatory. You just, okay, that's enough, I'm out.
Yes.
But you really stuck through it, through some of the judgments of other people.
Well, I to be honest, I did have doubt as well. When I become older, let's say 17, because when you're very young, like a teenager, that you don't think about practical things. You don't think about so much future. So when I become a young adult, say 17, maybe around 17, so I became very frustrated because I started to think about future, started to think about the practical things, how I should should continue. And I have some doubt about the musicianship and, everything. But anyway, but the thing really helps me a lot is to meet John Williams, actually. So John Williams came to Beijing to perform.
And we're talking about the guitar player.
Oh, yes, the guitarist.
We just did an episode on the composer a little bit ago.
Yes,
yeah.
That's right, John Williams, same name. So this is the guitarist John Williams who came to Beijing to perform, and he gave a math class in the Central Conservatoire where I played. So then he gave me the encouragement and said, "Oh, you would have a bright future." So I thought it's almost like lighting a fire in the dark night for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. Well, this has been a whirlwind of a conversation. We've kind of gone all over here with this album, with the wonderful songs, some of the cabaret aspects to it, the unaccompanied or the solo works with no bar lines or even. There's so much here to enjoy, and I understand you're also willing to play something for us as well. Tell us what you want to play and whatever you want to say about it.
So we're talking about my new album, Chapeu Satie. So I'd like to play a piece from that album, which is the Notion number 3 we've been talking about.
Number 3, okay.
Yes. I find that it's very meditative.
Yeah.
Very introspective, but meditative. And that I could use some nuances on the repetitive notes. So.
Yeah, a little bit more nuance. Okay, let's hear it.
See these descriptions. Open your head, muffle the sound. They're really
open your
quirky.
head.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just, what does that mean musically though in the moment or technically? Open your head. It's just
I guess that just maybe be more open, and the sound I could use the sound be. So a little bit brighter sound what I used.
Okay.
Yeah, then the very last, the second time. So I did a bit slower, so it says very last. So I kind of it's like, it's free and slower, so feel like lost.
That's because you do feel like the searching, or you're looking around trying to get in touch with your surroundings.
As you mentioned, you said actually earlier, you said it feel like no direction. Maybe that's, you get lost, no direction.
Yeah, or it feels like
feeling.
you're in one place just observing this.
Kind of daydreaming.
Daydreaming. Well, that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for just playing and sharing all of this with us. We, of course, wish you the best of luck on the rest of your tour here. You've got 10 more cities before you head back to London. But is there anything else that you want people to know about either the album, you, or the guitar?
Well, on this tour, I have selected a program that is very diverse. It includes lots of different genres, so take us to the different four corners of the world, north, south, east, and west. Because I thought that I feel that this world is very divided now.
Yeah.
So as a musician, I would love to use art, to use my music to connect people from different cultural backgrounds. And so listening to different music from different cultural background, and people can sit together and so bring them together. So that's the idea.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Faye.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for listening to Classical Breakdown, your guide to classical music. For more information on this episode, visit the show notes page at classicalbreakdown.org. You can send me comments and episode ideas to classicalbreakdown@weta.org. And if you enjoyed this episode, leave a review in your podcast app. I'm John Banther. Thanks for listening to Classical Breakdown from WETA Classical.